I have a really important question to ask first. And the level of laughter is going to tell me whether you all pay attention to things or not. So, how many of you know that one of our most distinguished undergrads, Alex Sunderland, managed to grab a VIP pass and get into the A&M locker room after the Alabama game? Everybody remember that? Alex, are you here? Alex, do you have a VIP pass and are you in our press conference? You're supposed to laugh. All right, enough of, I'm really disappointed about that. In all seriousness, this is a wonderfully momentous day for our athletics program and our university. UTSA is on this incredibly positive trajectory, and we need our athletics program to be on that same trajectory as well. And today is a waypoint on that same trajectory for athletics. It's that important a day for Lisa and your program and all of our coaches and staff and student athletes, but it's also important for our university that this is happening. So we're excited. This is a bold, bold opportunity for us, and it makes perfect sense. Why? We're joining the premier Group of Five conference. We're going to have the opportunity for wonderful student athlete experiences. From a marketing and branding and exposure perspective, it's going to be wonderful for our institution and athletic program. From a student athlete recruiting perspective, who wouldn't want to be in the American? From a geography and a Texas basis, it's a wonderful opportunity. Imagine a conference with so many other Texas universities in the same conference with us. Imagine the rivalries that we'll be able to develop around this. And there's obviously a wonderful financial benefit that will come to us from being in the American. Think about it. We're a young university with a young athletics program, and we stand on the shoulders of giants. What do I mean by that? We established a D1 program just in 1981. Our joining the Southland took place in 1991. Our establishing an FBS quality football program took place just in 2012. Our joining the WAC took place in 2012. Our joining Conference USA took place in 2013. In that short order, we now find ourselves in the best Group of Five conference in the country. Who wouldn't be excited about that? You know, today would not be possible without all the hard work of former administrations to see that whole progress through. So we look back over the last 20 years and we say, 20 or 30 years, 40 years, and we say, thank you, Roadrunner Nation, for getting us to this point. Today would also not be possible without the interest and support of all of our fans, our alumni, our awesome students like Alex. Okay, finally. Our donors, the Roadrunner Foundation, the City of San Antonio, and Bexar County. So I really want to thank our entire community for this day happening for us. So thank you, San Antonio. Thank you, Roadrunner Nation, for where we're at right now. You know, in my old age, I thought I had seen everything as a senior administrator in higher education. I thought, you know, what else is there to experience? And I had had inklings of what it's like to go through a process of changing conferences from my friends who are presidents who have done it. And they have all warned me that it's a process that produces gray hair. What?
Yes.
What? Gray hair, for me at least. And what I wanted to say is that this whole process is very special. It doesn't happen often. It's time-consuming. It's all-consuming. It's mysterious. It's secretive. And there's probably going to be questions that all of you are going to ask that we're not going to be able to answer. But what I want to say is that these are the things that are important about our consideration for joining the American. There's a president-to-president component about it. There is an AD to AD component about it. There is an AD to commissioner component about it. and there's even a commissioner to president component about it. And let me elaborate a little bit. And this is a homework assignment for you in the press. I'm going to pay attention to how you react to what I say just now. You'll all be glad to know that Commissioner Oresco and I are proud jumbos. What does that mean? Oh, boy. Yes, exactly. And what it means is that we're both proud graduates of Tufts University up in Boston. And it turns out that the commissioner grew up in Middletown, Connecticut. Greg, you know where that is. Yeah. And I grew up in Bethany, Connecticut. Greg, you know where that is. And Middletown's about 25 miles north of Bethany, and it happens to reside on the demilitarized zone between New York and Boston. And it won't surprise you at all to know that I am a fervent, Peggy and I are fervent Red Sox fans. And I have a little issue with the commissioner because he is a Yankee fan. Mm-hmm. But we'll work through it. And I would say this, the commissioner and I are both deeply Roadrunner fans. So that's a good thing. Okay. Our trajectory as a university was immensely important to the selection, our selection into the American. Our trajectory of our athletics program was important. The trajectory of our football program was important. The attention that our community pays to us was and is important. During the process, as the American evaluated candidate institutions, they paid attention to all these things. Unfortunately, Jeff, sorry to say this, it wasn't exactly 7-0 that has gotten us into the American, although that helps immensely. What has gotten us into the American is the fact that UTSA is on this steep trajectory, and they see athletics being on the same steep trajectory. So that's a very powerful thing for us. And they see the community support from the city of San Antonio, from Bexar County, from our fan base, from our alumni base. And all of that is noticed as they think about where we're going as an institution. They see our love of the Spurs. They see our love of NCAA championships. They see how college athletics is embraced in San Antonio. And they see how we have been embraced as Roadrunners here in our city. So Commissioner Oresco and the voting presidents of the American voted us in because they believe in the trajectory of our athletics program, our university, and our city. They're betting on our future. Now, Lisa and I worked very closely throughout this process, and as you can imagine, it might have started the minute that the world learned that Texas and Oklahoma were departing the Big 12 for the SEC. Lisa was deeply engaged, tireless, and committed to this notion around advancing opportunities to best benefit our athletic enterprise. A better word that I could probably use here is Lisa was relentless about this. Throughout this process and through all the conversations that I had, it was clear to me that Lisa was a great ambassador for UTSA with her fellow ADs and with the American. I heard over and over again how wonderful she was about advocating for us, leading, working with other relevant ADs in this process, and that our candidacy was very much considered because of Lisa's leadership. So Lisa, thank you very much. We owe you a debt of gratitude for all that you did to get us to this point today. So that's a wonderful job on your part. So I want to give Lisa a round of applause for this. I know there are many folks that Lisa will be thanking in her comments, but I especially want to thank our CFO, Veronica Mendez, because we are working with Veronica routinely through this process as we are thinking about the future and how we're going to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish. So Veronica, thank you. And if you recall, at our opening of our Roadrunner Athletics Center of Excellence, Gene Dawson reminded us about where we need to go about our facilities and our budget. And Gene and I talk about this on it seems like a daily basis, and he's deeply committed to us. But we do have work to do as we go forward around our athletics budget and around facilities. I want to make sure that Karen is particularly happy because she chats with me every time that I see her about needing appropriate facilities for women's basketball. Thank you, Karen, for reminding me of that. I appreciate it. I know my friends in the press in the front row who don't laugh at my jokes have many specific questions that were not answered at the 11 o'clock press availability that Commissioner Oresco hosted with the ADs. And I know that you're going to pose these questions today, and I'm betting that there are going to be a lot that we're not going to be able to answer because it involves financials or related to the American, or it might involve financials related to Conference USA. I want to remind everybody we are still proud, active members of Conference USA, and Conference USA is navigating some very complex waters right now, and we want to support them as much as we can. And so with that, I'm going to say to our press friends, I want to direct your questions to all of our coaches that are here, because they're the ones that have the big grins on their faces as they think about the future and where we're going. This is an opportunity for our athletics program, for Lisa, for UTSA, but if I'm a coach here at UTSA, I'm betting I couldn't be happier than what the news is for today. So make sure to direct your questions to all our coaches who are here. And with that, I'm going to turn the program over to Lisa. Lisa, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for those kind words. I'm giggling up here because this has been a very fast process, and you're going to hear a lot of the same remarks that Taylor just said, and I promise we independently wrote our remarks, but as he was reading them, they could be verbatim. So we are in alignment in the way we're thinking about.
Just make sure you thank everybody, though.
Yes, I for sure will thank. I'm still going to go through my remarks.
Okay.
And just some similar remarks from this morning's 11 a.m. Press conference that you heard. But it is so wonderful to be with you all here today, celebrating this great news of joining the American Athletic Conference. I do have a lot of folks I would like to thank, and beginning with Dr. Taylor Amy. He, as you all hear every time he's in front of the media, he has unwavering support of athletics. He understands the importance of athletics and what it can do for an institution, and how it can align with the great things that the rest of the divisions in the department and in the university are doing. So I really appreciate we would not be able to be here without his great leadership and commitment to athletics. I'd also like to thank all my colleagues, the President's Cabinet, who are so committed to the success of our program. And again, particularly to Veronica Mendez, who is our CFO and Vice President for Business Affairs, Lee Espy, our Provost and VP for Academic Affairs, and Carl Miller-Lugo, VP for Development and Alumni Relations. These three I lean on all the time, and they probably want to run when they see me coming or the phone ringing, but I do rely on them so heavily to help us move our department forward, and thank you so much for your commitment to our department and helping us get to where we are today. I do also want to acknowledge our athletic staff, our coaches, and in particular our 350 plus student athletes. You all, since day one, have been committed to the vision of being San Antonio's nationally recognized Division I program. And we see it in your recruiting, we see it in your hard game preparation, in your practices, that you all are putting in the work to represent this great institution and to get us again here where we are today. So thank you so much. And then again, as you can imagine, this has been a very busy and exciting development. And, this morning I had the opportunity to thank Commissioner Mike Oresco. He has led this just with great leadership, with great communication. I laugh at some of our conversations. We talked about World War II. We talked about the importance of speaking two languages. We talked about other things besides athletics. And
jumbos.
I don't know if we ever talked about the jumbos, but maybe. But he has just been so fantastic to get through this process and to welcome us to the conference. So a huge thanks to him and his staff in the conference office. I mentioned this morning as I arrived to UTSA athletics, or to the university almost 4 years ago, that's hard to believe, you just knew immediately that there was something very, very special happening here. And to Taylor's point, it begins with the people. And it goes from the student body to the faculty, to the alumni, to the former coaches, the former administrators, our elected officials. I promise I didn't plagiarize your speech. This was really in mine too. But our fans, our members of the Roadrunner Athletic Fund, our Roadrunner Foundation, all of these constituents have played a major role in positioning UTSA athletics for this moment. And again, it started back in the early 80s when we did start athletics here at this university. You know, you look at starting football 11 years ago. They've helped construct the Athletic Center of Excellence that we opened in August. They've helped us get to a top 25 football program in 11 seasons, 2 bowl games, helping us fill the Alamo Dome, and 2 weeks, a week and a half away to fill it again. But you all are a part of this community, and all those constituents I talked about are a part of why we are celebrating this moment today. Again, you think about what we've accomplished, and I'm going to particularly focus on football. You think about what we've done in 11 years in this football program, and you think about what is possible and what do we imagine can happen in the next 11 years. We shared with the American our bold strategy for improving our facilities, again, beginning with the Center of Excellence. And we talked about the future projects, from volleyball to basketball practice facilities to softball, baseball facilities, our Park West project. There is so much to do, and we always talk about this is just the beginning. As Taylor mentioned, by joining the American, we will raise our athletic and academic profile, and we will continue to build a strong national brand. Through the American Television Agreement, UTSA will increase its exposure and visibility. And again, what's important to us is that we're going to continue having a strong presence in the state of Texas. And why is that important? Not just intercollegiate athletics, but to the university. That's where our alumni reside and where we recruit the rest of the student population. We are, as Taylor mentioned, committed as a university, committed to excellence in all aspects of this university, and athletics is just a part of that. As I said before, this is just the beginning. We are so excited to welcome the other members to San Antonio. I was asked earlier today, how would I describe sporting events, and particularly football in San Antonio? And they will be blown away when they come experience a game at the Alamo Dome. So this is, San Antonio, it's Military City. Dr. Amy said it, it's NCAA championship city. There's so much to offer here. And that's why the American looked at us. And it's the city and the support and the momentum that our department has. So again, I just want to thank Taylor. I want to thank Commissioner Rusco, the board of presidents who really believed and saw the potential and the vision and the momentum that UTSA Athletics has. So thank you so much. I do also want to introduce our coaches. We've invited all of our head coaches. When you look at this program, and you can talk to our coaches about this, it's a strong league, multi-bid leagues in many sports. And that's what's really exciting to our student athletes and really exciting to our coaches. So we have Derek Pittman, head soccer coach, women's soccer coach. Karen Aston, head women's basketball coach. Jeff Traylor, head football coach. Steve Henson, head men's basketball coach. I believe Coach Hallmark is here, maybe. Baseball coach, Summer Batiste, women's golf. Aaron Fox, track and field. Coach John Knauer, men's golf. And Sergey knows I just can't do it. Sergey, say your last name so everyone knows. Thank you. Men's tennis. And not with us because of previous engagements is Kai Kroll, women's tennis, Laura Groff, volleyball, and Michelle Cheatham, softball. So please, please, please talk to our head coaches, get their comments. They have a lot to say and are very excited about this move as all. So thank you.
We'll open up to questions now. Please wait for the microphone to ask your question and state your name for the issue.
No comment.
We'll start with you.
JJ Perez, Inside Runner Sports. Lisa, why make this move now?
Well, it was opportunity, right? That there was a changing landscape, shifting landscape in the industry, and the Americans saw an opportunity, and we saw an opportunity, and we were ready and positioned to grab onto that opportunity, and that's the timing of it.
Rotomar in the Paisano. Dr. Campos, last couple weeks ago, the athletics department went through a minor restructuring with some roles getting swapped around. Was that done with the intention of the American move in the horizon?
You know what, we're always looking at best positioning ourselves and we want to be the best athletics program that we can be. And we did evaluations over the summer, evaluation of our organizational structure and how can we best position. We were coming out of COVID, we could refill some of those positions that we had lost. So that was really it, just continuing to position us to be the best that we can.
I want to go back to JJ's question a little bit to add some additional perspective. I've been pretty consistent in saying over time that our trajectory for our university is really important, and it's a very upward and bright trajectory, but we want the exact same trajectory for athletics. It's essential, and if you think about the places I've been, some of the institutions I've been at, the athletic enterprise was so deeply embedded into the campus fabric and the student experience. We want that here. We want that for our Roadrunner Nation. We want to be exemplary on the field and in the classroom for our student athletes as much as we're doing everything else that we're doing as a university. So, you have to tackle these things when they have an opportunity to be tackled. Our efforts to have the Roadrunner Athletic Center of Excellence come to fruition is a big first step. We have more work to do, but this has been an intentional process to want to improve and grow on the foundations that we've had for athletics since I've been here. I think I talked about this in my interview, and I don't know when I first met JJ or Greg to talk about these things, but I have been a broken record about these things. So it's been an intentional, planned effort to be sitting here today.
Lisa, is it a fair question to say the athletic budget will need to increase with this move?
Yeah, regardless of the move, Dr. Amy and I and Veronica, we have been in constant communications about how do we continue to grow our program. And to the earlier question, that we want to be a top tier program in athletics, and that does mean growing our budgets and growing our staffs and doing all those things. So it is something that, to Taylor's point, has been intentional and just, again, always positioning us to be in a great position.
If my data serves me, it may not, but I'm pretty sure it's right. The budget for athletics in 2019 was $30 million. It's $35 million this year. So we're going to just be very careful and cautious, but bold about how we go forward about growing the athletics budget. I mean, the two things we need to tackle, regardless of the American, is our athletics budget, but also the facilities that we need to be a competitive, fully competitive program in the American. It's going to take time. None of these things are going to happen overnight, but we've been very deliberate about everything that we do here at UTSA on the academic side, the research side, the capital campaign, fundraising side. All these things are extremely deliberate for a reason, and athletics is part of that enterprise.
Greg Lucas, San Antonio Express News. Guys, I'm curious, in the months that this was being discussed and deliberated, how many other kind of realignment scenarios did you guys play out, and were there other options that were seriously considered through this process? So
I'm going to be a little vague on purpose here. Our intent all along was to focus principally on the American for all the obvious reasons, for the things we've shared about the advantages that it brings. The world of college athletics has been deeply disrupted by a variety of things: Supreme Court rulings, name, image, likeness, the upheaval that's underway at the NCAA right now. All sorts of things are in play, and obviously the domino effect that arrived on our shores, on everybody else's shores when Texas and Oklahoma decided to depart the Big 12 for the SEC caused everybody to scramble. And we had been plotting and strategizing about if a day like this would come, so we were not unprepared. We had to do some scrambling to get to where we needed to be sitting here today. But it's not like we were completely ignorant of the possibilities that were out there. So when it hit in June, we were like, okay, we got to amp it up a little bit more. But the American was our principal focus from the beginning.
Okay, question for both of you. When you got that message that you have been accepted, what was both of your first reactions?
Ah!
Absolutely. Just so happy, again, for our department, for our university, for our student athletes, just all the hard work they put in, and to be recognized by a great conference. That was the reaction.
Yeah. I mean, I have chatted with the commissioner a bunch, as you can tell. I still am going to work on him becoming a Red Sox fan, but every time that we chatted with he and his staff, or presidents in the American, or ADs in the American, everybody was aware of how far we've come in short order here and where we're going, and it was a very easy conversation to have. There were a lot of unknowns. There was a lot of rumors out there, and remember, I said this is a very secretive, mysterious process. Believe me, it is. And so we didn't know if there would be 2 added, or 4 added, or 6 added, or whatever. But we continued to make our case and advocate and communicate. So.
And then I was also going to ask, so we've already, discussed during the race building about all these other projects and facility upgrades that we had in the planning works. With this move to the American, does that accelerate the timetable on some of these out of the planning stage into the action phase?
No, it's not going to accelerate it. It will have to go at its own fast pace, because we've been meaning to get to these things regardless. So they're on our list of things to do. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Remember, how long did our Roadrunner Athletics Center of Excellence take? And when we finally decided to go, that was a 2 or 3 year project. So these things take time, but it's the intentionality that we have about this that's important to recognize. And obviously the resources that come from it, our support from our community, from our philanthropic community especially, is going to be really important for all these things. So.
Lisa, can you speak to the revenue aspect with the TV deal? I don't know how much you could tell us, but one, is it a net positive for UTSA? And then 2, can you just speak about the overall exposure with that market as opposed to what you have now in Conference USA?
Yeah, absolutely. So can't get into specifics of the ESPN deal, but absolutely to be on linear, to have the host of ESPN packages, to have our sports, and this is broad. It's a broad range, right? It's all of our sports that will have that exposure, so that is huge for us. Obviously, this made financial sense for UTSA to join the American.
I think we can actually say significant financial sense. Leave it at that.
Scott Bailey, San Antonio Business Journal. I know there's still some unknown left to this. It's some you can and can't talk about. And one of those is the start date. But is there at least an end date or a latest target date so that you're not in a precarious situation for multiple years?
Yeah, what I would say about that is that it is projected for no later than entering July 2024. That's when the trickle-down effect may happen, and so that's the date we're eyeing.
I mean, that's the date that is out there, but everybody is anticipating the additional domino effects that will come from the departure whenever Texas and Oklahoma leave, and then whenever Central Florida and Cincinnati and Houston jump into the Big 12. So all of that could move up the date, but the date that Lisa referenced is the no later date.
Stephen Whitaker, birdsup.com. Now that y'all are in the American, is there any place in particular y'all are looking forward to visiting when UTSA plays there?
That's a great question. You know, I'm very familiar with a lot of those schools, and in my time at UTEP, when a lot of those schools were in Conference USA, and obviously going to Memphis this past year for football. Just I think for to experience a game at Navy. I haven't been to Temple, so some of those new schools that I haven't been to will be exciting to see. But really familiar with the others.
They all have interesting aspects to them, and I've become friends with some of the presidents who I didn't know before. So when I have the pleasure of traveling for a football game, it's great to fly on the plane and to spend time with the coaches and to spend time with the student athletes. It's all a lot of fun. But I also get to hang out with my buddies who are fellow presidents. We have this mafia, for lack of a better term, and we all enjoy getting together, and they each end up hosting you for wonderful things. So each of these places will be great. But, I've never been to a football game at Navy, though. That would be very special. I had family members who went to the Naval Academy, so that will be a fun day. So,
what are the most important things you guys have to accomplish between now and the start of competition in the American to be ready to compete in that league?
That's a great question. I'd say, it's no different than what we're trying to do now, that our coaches realize, we are always positioning ourselves to win championships. And from a facility standpoint, we want to provide the best facilities to our coaches to be able to recruit. Two, we have a lot of special things here in San Antonio and UTSA. So it's to me, coaches might be thinking about it a little bit differently, but we're going to continue on the trajectory we are. Proud members of Conference USA, obviously, but wanting to always compete at the highest level, and we'll continue to invest in our personnel, in our coaches, and in the resources and support that our student athletes need to be successful today.
yeah. We have a lot of momentum going right now, and especially in football. But to answer your specific question, I'm going to say we need to win this weekend in Ruston. Jeff, that was a tongue-in-cheek comment, sort of.
This question is for both of y'all. It feels like this last month, UTSA athletics, football, there's a moment where this program has hit a milestone. Can you just speak to the importance of that and maybe mobilizing the support with the fan base and trying to generate some of, the fundraising that's going to be needed?
I'll go. So, in all honesty, a lot of the discussions around joining the American are deeply tied to football and the ESPN contract that's in place with the American, and everybody is aware of where our football program has come from and what's going on this year. And everybody mentioned Jeff, and everybody mentioned our squad and the dome and the fact that we're undefeated. I'm going to answer the question this way. In the course of human events, there are these convergences that happen around momentum, let's say, or intentionality, and we are at a point in the history of our institution on a variety of fronts, but let's just leave it in the athletics front for a second here. We are at a very important inflection point for our program. We need to build on the momentum of football. We need to build on the momentum around the coaches we've been hiring. We need to build on the momentum of the success of our student athletes. We need to build on the momentum of the fan interest and the alumni interest and the donor interest in this. I mean, these harmonic convergences don't always come our way, and it's for us to grab and embrace and own to take full advantage of this moment in time. So, my fellow president said this to me once, Taylor, you don't realize how much time you're going to end up spending on athletics, and it's true. So let's get going.
I would just add to that too that we've always known that this is a special community and it's a sports community, and when the wins start coming, that there is that momentum, and we're seeing it in the Alamo Dome. And what I would tell the fans is that there's nothing more important to our student athletes, whether it's our football program, our soccer program, that we recruit these students telling them that they're going to have an exceptional experience. And part of that exceptional experience is playing in front of a full stadium, a full arena, and it matters, and it makes a difference, and it helps us continue to recruit. You know, you think about all the recruits that Jeff had and our basketball programs had this past weekend at our home game, and the environment that they experienced and the excitement that they want to be a part of that. So that momentum is contagious. And then I would also say, you know, I know we focused a lot on football, but there are some amazing things happening with our other sports. We have soccer, who had the best start in program history. They, for the first time ever, have made a postseason appearance, or will make a postseason appearance in Conference USA tournament here in a few weeks. That it's not just football. All of our students, you know, winning is contagious, and all of our students are feeding off of one another. And it's, you know, you go to a soccer game I guess it was a week ago, and you have close to 1,000 fans supporting women's soccer.
Oh,
This
really?
community, you know, they love sports, and they love supporting this their local institution and our 350 plus student athletes. And we anticipate that that's going to continue through the basketball seasons, and look forward to those programs. So a lot of momentum, it's contagious, and I just encourage our community and our fans to keep coming, because again, it matters.
I'm also going to ask that Karen not volunteer me for any more TikToks. So. Yeah, yeah.
All right, thanks everyone. We're gonna do breakout interviews now, so if you're not just the media, if you don't mind going on the other side of that temporary wall, to help with the volume here.
And I'm going to ask all of our friends in the press to please spend time with our coaches. I want you to see the grins on their faces as they have a chance to chat with you.
Absolutely. So coaches, will stay in here. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. What a special